this doctrine originated out of those New York camps, the black military, and the doctrine is concerned,
That's it, black military.
Right, the militant Hebrews that be out on the streets cursing people out. Let's see. This doctrine is about Israelites being Gentiles. That's what they teach. They teach that the Israelites, that the Gentile, when you read Gentiles in the scriptures, Gentiles are either referring to Israelites who are falling after the ways of the Gentiles, or they're the 10 tribes that were divorced from the Father. That's their doctrine. The reason why they teach this doctrine is because when you get into the New Testament and you read Romans, Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, those weren't Europeans, those were Israelites. That's what they teach. But that's a very bad doctrine because they teach that so that Gentiles don't have a place nowhere in these scriptures. And not only they don't have a place in the scriptures, they can't be saved.
Wow.
That's the doctrine, though. So that's the reason why they're out on the street cursing Gentiles out, whatever. But when you read Cornelius, he was a Hebrew. He was just an Italian by whatever. Like
that's no different than the Muslims saying that we're infidels.
Right. Pretty similar. Pretty similar. Absolutely. So anyway, what we're gonna do, and again, it's not about my opinion, whatever. It's according to what I'm reading here in the scriptures. And so I'm going to do what the Most High have given to kill that horrible doctrine that really, and what happened was this. We were in Atlanta last Shabbat. And before we had went to any class, I had put a post on Facebook asking brothers for a place in Atlanta. I don't know if you've seen it, for a place in Atlanta to congregate. Because we were going to go. Huh?
Yeah.
Right.
And I said Jacksonville.
Right, you said Jacksonville, right. I said, nope, can't help you this time. Right. I said next Shabbat, not this Shabbat. But so the brothers had offered up this one congregation. They said, yeah, you check them out. Only thing you were different with them is they do a different calendar than you do. That's the only thing, but they cool and everything. I said, oh, okay, cool. Since we do know that today is a Shabbat, that ain't gonna be no issue. And when we sat down and we got there before anybody else got there, because they was late, so they were definitely Hebrews. Only thing it said 1:30, and we there at 1:45. We were trying to be late,
Right.
But to no avail. I mean, we were literally. So when they finally came in about a good 45 minutes later, after we were sitting there,
we were about to fall
in
asleep.
the room and everything, So one brother came in. He knew me from way back in the day. I didn't really remember him and everything. But anyway, make a long story short, the brother got up there to teach a lesson, and that was his lesson. The Israelites are Gentiles. I said, oh man, I'm not gonna enjoy this lesson.
Yeah, that's the first thing he said.
But so anyway, I was able to speak for a little while. They didn't appreciate that, but I only spoke when I was asked to. I didn't mean to say anything. Now, back in the day, 20 years ago, because later on, the brother said, man, he told me, say, y'all came to this class to debate. I'm like, man, look, bro, I didn't even know y'all existed 15 minutes before 30 minutes before we came here. So, and not only that, but how was I to know what lesson y'all was going to be teaching, And so I'm like, no, don't put that false thing on me. So I know that, when I go somewhere, if I don't like what's being said, I might make faces. I can't help myself. My face would be contorted in so many different ways. The brother got on me about that one time. The brother facing at you. I'm like, I can't help it. I can't help it. And I told this one brother that, I said, but let me tell you something. If you see me make a face, you better be extra happy that I'm making a face. I swear to the Most High, you better be happy. Because if I ain't making a face, that means I'm doing something else. And you're going to wish that I would have made a face. I kid you not. But anyway, but everything he kept, So when I spoke the first time, the brother at the full quarter class said, this ain't the place for that, whatever. I said, oh, respect. I'm cool. But then the brother kept directing stuff to me. And so I was like, point, I let them know. I said, I don't speak unless I was asked to speak. Simple as that. And so anyway, to make a long story short, I say, you know what? Oh, and then what made it so bad is that we have a spiritual imam that lives in Atlanta, and we kicked it with her just the night before, and we brought up this topic.
Right.
And she was telling me about, that's the topic. And then the very next day, the dude said, this is the lesson. I said, you know what, okay, we're going to have to deal with this lesson then, because too many Israelites. And then there's a faction here in Jacksonville, brothers that came for Passover. I got into them about, because they believe this doctrine too.
And I just wanted to see if it was
okay. Right. So I'm glad you did that. So anyway, that's what we're going to deal with. So we're going to start this off at Genesis the 10th chapter and look to see what we got here in Genesis the 10th chapter.
How long did you stay in that class? The whole time?
Oh yeah, we were there the whole time. We were there.
And think about kicking the dust off your feet?
No.
the last time I did that, a building actually burned down. And I said I would be careful about doing that again.
I mean, we didn't get into like a bitter debate
No, it wasn't
or
a
nothing
bitter
like
debate.
that, and a knockdown drag. I don't know.
They were cordial,
They
at
were
least.
cordial. So it was good, and then they invited us to go out to eat with them after the class, but my mind was somewhere else. So we was tired, so we just went and rested until later on that evening. But anyway, it was deep. So anyway, Genesis the 10th chapter. So again, just in case the people didn't hear me, the doctrine that we're dealing with, because just so when people watch this, I want them to understand that I understand the doctrine that's being taught. So I don't want people to be listening to me and say, oh, but he just don't know this, that, and the other. No, I know that the doctrine being taught is about disobedient Israelites being Gentiles, or the Gentiles being the 10 tribes that were divorced by the Father. That's who the Gentiles is. I understand that's what the doctrine is being taught, and that's the doctrine that we're addressing today, okay? Genesis, the 10th chapter is, they call this the table of the nations. And this is where we get a lot of our history from and identifying who everyone is. So in Genesis 10th chapter, start off at the first verse there.
Okay. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphtah, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim.
Right. Okay, so now, in the previous lesson we did, I forget what lesson that was, and I had you read the origins of all of these nations. In the previous nation, remember I looked up Gentiles, and we looked up Javan, and found out that Javan was the Greeks, and Tubal, and
I forgot about that.
Oh, you forgot it. I wasn't going to have you read it. But to make a long story short, you can study this on your own time. The sons of Japheth are all Europeans. They're all European nations. Right. Javan, I know they're the Greeks. Ashkenaz, you see Ashkenaz, right? That's where most of the Jewish people,
That's my family.
that's her family. Ashkenaz, Jews, right? You want to tell your story real quick about what happened right down the street?
Oh, the lady in the store. Yeah, she was saying how she was in a bookstore, and she said, "Yeah, I'm from the tribe of original Jew. I'm original Hebrew. I'm from the tribe of Ashkenaz, and I know my family lineage." And Josiah said, "You're not Hebrew. I'm going to show you who you are." And then he opened up the book and turned right here and showed her Ashkenaz right there, and that lady just started crying. And she still didn't accept it even
right
afterwards. She started
No, the truth does hurt.
Yeah, it hurt her. And because again, we wasn't arguing, wasn't battling, wasn't fighting. I just opened up the book or nothing like that. Yeah. And for that, like you said, put her to tears. So it wasn't like I was cursing her out or anything like that. Anyway, so these are European people here. Now in the King James Version, mostly King James Version, is going to give you the good name for them. Verse 5.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their land, everyone after his tongue, after their families, and in their nation.
Right. And see, this is one of the errors. I call it an error because from researching throughout the scriptures, I can see what the the scripture says concerning this. A lot of times you're reading like maybe strong concordance or other references say Gentiles mean nations. That's what the word Gentiles mean. That's not the full extent of the word Gentiles, period. And the reason why you know that is because, like the New World Translation, which is the Jehovah's Witness Bible, it says, by these were the isles, and they use nations, isles of the nations in this verse. But you're like, isles of the nations, that don't make sense. Because Ham has nations. Shem has nations. So why would it say nations there? But here we have a proper noun here. And you cannot substitute a proper noun for an improper noun. Nowhere in the language can you do that. I can't say my name is Josiah, but then when you put it down, you just put man there. Josiah don't translate the man. But this is a proper noun here. Everywhere you're going to see the word Gentiles rendered, it's a reason why it's a proper noun. You see what I'm saying? So you will have words like heathens. You will have words like maritime people, coastland peoples. All that is improper. And it doesn't really give you a specific, right? It's like that. Other Bibles going to say that. Like, what do yours say right there in that verse, 5th verse?
Same thing. From these islands of the nations were divided into their land.
See, and that don't even make sense. The huh?
Yeah, this one says it too. This is a sequence.
Okay. And so, and that's a King James version you read, right? Right. And so the brother said, well, Gentiles just mean nations. I'm like, no, it can't mean nations. Another reason why you know it can't mean nations, because again, you can't substitute proper noun for improper noun. It's that it says, by these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their what? Nations. You got two words in the same verse.
So how can they mean the same thing?
And you can't interchange them. I said, brother, interchange the words. Says, by these were the isles of the nations, everyone had his tongue after their families in their Gentiles. He didn't even want. Don't make sense. Come on, it don't make sense.
He didn't want to do that.
He didn't want to. They didn't even want to do it. I'm like, brother, I didn't make this up. It's right here in your book. Okay. Now, here's another observation, because this is where the word first originated, right here in this verse here. It says, everyone after his tongue, everyone in their lands, after his tongue, because when you read the next chapter, you're going to read about how the tongues were divided, right? After their families, okay? What about after their religion? Huh? It don't say that. After their culture, after their tradition. See, it don't say, not saying that they don't have these things, but the fact of the matter is this. Just like when somebody asks, well, what are you? I'm a Baptist. What are you? I tell them, I don't say I'm an Israelite. And why don't I say I'm an Israelite?
You're not in the land of Israel?
Not specifically. Here's the key word. Here's the key phrase. I'm a Baptist. What are you? Was it right? Well, I say I serve YAH.
I say I'm a believer.
I'm a believer. I serve YAH. Because the question was not about a nationality or ethnicity.
That's true.
It was about my religion. That's what the question was. He wasn't asking me what ethnic I was. And see, Israelite is not a religion. It is a people. It's a nationality.
Right.
All Ashkenazim don't believe the same thing. All Americans don't believe the same thing. All Greeks, all Ethiopians, all Russians don't believe the same thing. So if I say I'm an Israelite, I'm not really giving you my belief system. I'm just telling you that that's who I know who I am ethnically. So why am I saying that? Because when I read the word Gentiles here, it's not describing a walk. Because remember, an Israelite, a Gentile is an Israelite that walks like the Gentiles. Well, that's not what Gentile is. Does that make sense?
That's what they're trying to make it.
Right, that's what they try to make it to be, absolutely. And that's totally an error. And not only is that error, but every time you see the word Gentile in the scriptures, and if you don't believe me, check it. It's not a belief system. It's not describing a belief system. It's simply describing a nation. And there's actually only one place in the entire Bible where they use Gentile translates into a nation. That's Isaiah 49. But everywhere else that they use it is talking about European people, the sons of Japhet. And we're going to read a few of those references today. But it's so much into understanding this that you all going to see just how important understanding this is, okay? See, you always got to go to the beginning. If I'm going to put a definition to a word, I will put a definition based on where the word first appears at. Because then everything else has to fit does that make sense or not? I'm not going to go way later into something else and say, oh, that's what it means. No, it means, when it says by these is the sons of Japhet. Huh? No debate. Were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands? He don't say Gentiles with everybody else. You go into verse 20. It says, and these are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, and their countries, and their nations. And then, interesting enough, just as a point of reference, read verse 21. I think this is interesting.
Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born.
Right. And notice what it says here. Unto now it's introducing Shem, also the father of all the children of Eber. Who is Eber? Do y'all know who Eber is? Eber is the great-grand. Okay, matter of fact, keep reading.
Okay. The children of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The children of Aram, Uz, and Hul, and Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Selah, and Selah begat Eber.
Eber, that's the great-grandson of Shem. The distinction of why he's mentioned all the way up in the very beginning is that Eber is Hebrew. This is the tongue that he was given. And that's another thing. Hebrew is a language. In Genesis 14 chapter, it says Abraham the Hebrew. People read that and say, oh, this is the first Hebrew. No, he was not the first Hebrew.
So where do you see that he was Hebrew?
Because that's when you look at Eber, that's Eber translates to Hebrew.
Hebrew, okay.
Right. When you look it up, matter of fact, you ain't got, okay.
I don't have it, but there is in the Bible, it talks about where the language of Hebrew, came from Iber. It actually says that. It actually says it.
Right. Right, yeah. She come in here loaded.
I know.
But the word Eber by definition means region beyond.
Okay.
That's what it means, region beyond by definition. So so that's why it mentions Eber there, because he is the one that was given, because like I said again, matter of fact,
it's in Genesis 11 when they start talking about the change of
right,
language.
Exactly, at the Tower of Babel, right.
The Tower of Babel in verse 9, because Yahuwah did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did Yahuwah scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
Right.
Talking about change of the languages. And it goes down talking about Eber.
Well, watch it. I look and right here in 10, and read that next verse, 25th verse. Why you looking for that? Now, this might be what you were looking for. Maybe, I don't know.
My phone went out. My thing went out. Hold on. I'm trying to get it back in. It just went out on me.
How you phone? Okay.
No.
I'm gonna read it in. Yeah. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. And his brother's name was Joktan. So it mentions concerning that was during the days when the earth was divided. See, and remember, every name that we read out of all the names here are all different tongues. You see what I'm saying? All these are, that's why I say each one after in his land, after his tongue. And that's why I say, so when people say that Abraham was the first Hebrew, he didn't learn a new language. he learned the language that his father spoke. That was passed down all the way from Eber. That's where Hebrew. He's the Hebrew, right? Now, some people debate, well, Hebrew was actually the first language and everything else came afterwards. I don't disagree with that, but I don't know that to be a fact. All I know is that Eber is Hebrew and that he's the descendant of Abraham descended from. And so, however, other intricacies, all that's well and good, but I just understand that all these people have a language. And so the main reason why we read this time is basically because, again, hey sister, how you doing? Good to see you on. We're dealing with who are the Gentiles today. So here we learn who the Gentiles are here. Now, let's go on to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. We're going to see something here. And again, we talk about Israel, boy. We know Deuteronomy 28, boy. That's where we get our heritage at. And we're going to read this there's a specific reason why we're reading this. But again, all this is reading it from historical dynamic. It reveals some things to us. I'm going to read a few of these curses here that was put on Israel. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 32nd verse specifically. And 32nd verse.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your sons and your daughters shall be given unto another people, and your eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in your hand.
Right. So part of this curse is that our sons and daughters shall be given unto another people.
28:32.
I'm sorry, Deuteronomy 28:32. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
What's you? Oh, you okay? Okay. So this was one of the signs given, that we will be given to another people, right? So that would explain why we don't have our own names, which is going to tell us that too, why we're speaking a language that's not native to us and all that. We're going to read all that. Mm-hmm. So yes, anyway, here in the 32nd verse, it says that we will be given unto another people, and our eyes will fill with longing for them all the day long. There should be no might in thy hand. 33rd.
The fruit of your land and all your labor shall a nation which you know is not eat up, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed always.
So again, when you read this, you got to read right. You have to read this from a historical dynamic. Mm-hmm. You got to understand, who did Israel know as a people back then, which would be the surrounding nations they knew. They knew Ham's seed, because Egypt, most of them had in Egypt, huh? Right?
Because we don't know the extent of what went on.
Right. Well, right. But here's the flip side to that, though, because I remember I had been in about 4th grade then when they had started having that Tutankhamun exposition.
The who?
King Tut.
Oh, King Tut.
I called him his full name. I attempted to call him by his full name.
Okay.
But the thing was, from my understanding, it was during that time period when we started being made aware of the hieroglyphics and seeing the black images of Egypt. And so I understand where they come from, but then again, when you read scriptures, you can see that Israel physically was always physically compared to the Egyptians. And again, we were physically compared to the Egyptians even before the 400 years. Ain't that deep? Right? That's before the 400 years. Joseph was before the 400 years. But his own brothers didn't know who he was, right? He was an Egyptian. And how did he make that, what's the word for it? How did he No, he the word for fallacy or to fool his brothers. What did he do to fool his brothers?
He looked like he dressed like him.
Well, okay.
He had someone else speak.
That's how he fooled them, because he looked like him automatically.
Right.
See, cause if I was Chinese and I had on Egyptian garb, I'm Chinese all day long.
Right.
So he automatically looked like him, but he spoke to them through an interpreter.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know this language that these cats are speaking, so he's speaking Egyptian to the interpreter. That's what he did to really make it seem like I'm an Egyptian. But again, This is before 400 years.
Right.
So if we look like them before the 400 years, after 400 years, we really look like them. Because we married Egyptians.
Yeah.
They were part of the mixed multitude.
The speech would have changed.
The speech would have, oh, that's a very good point. That's a very good point you make, because people now are trying to see who speaks the correct Hebrew right now, 2018 AD. Like, you ain't never gonna know really,
Right.
Yeah.
especially
Yeah,
the
that's a good
the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Because the Hebrew that they spoke was slightly different from the Hebrew that Eber spoke, which was still different from the Hebrew that King David. Because look, and the reason why you know this is because what? Everybody in this room is speaking English. English is one of the newest languages in the world. I just found this out recently that English comes from German. I never knew that. German is the foundation of English. No, I learned that it was German, that the language we speak comes from German. But like you say, the Latin is, the Spanish and all of them language. But the thing is this, English, what we're speaking now was not even heard 300 years ago. 300 years. So look, it says, so 33 says the future, go ahead, 33.
I'm reading it again. Okay. The fruit of your land and all your labors shall a nation which you know is not eat up, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed always.
And see, again, when we read scriptures, you have to look at it from historical, but you have to also think. Just don't read a verse and just be like, okay, whatever. Understand who they knew. They knew Egyptians. They knew Ethiopians. They knew the other Shemitic nations. But the Japhetic people, they did not know them people. They did not know European people like that. They, huh?
But you said they were Europeans.
Yeah, but we didn't know them. We didn't know them as a nation of people. They got split. They were gone. And the reason why you know them, because when you read who we interacted with, we didn't interact with Romans and Greek. That wouldn't come till way later. When Babylon and the King Nebuchadnezzar Babylon came on scene, that's when they came into power and we was exposed to them. But prior to them, those were the people that we didn't know who they were. And again, and check that, who did we get in captivity to? European people. You see, you put two and two together. Again, and we're going to read this later, Paul was an apostle to the Gentiles. Romans, Corinthians, all of them come from Japhet. Do you understand what I'm saying? See, I'm saying, I don't have to make up the doctrine to just put the two and two together, and the twos have to be truth. Were not the Europeans the one that came and got us? Was those not European boats that we would put on? Those were Japhet boats that we would put on, dispersed throughout the world. Right? I mean, I'm not making this up, but the scripture's letting us know that a people that you don't know. He's telling them that. They have no idea who these people are. Huh? So, okay, and what else it says there? Keep going.
Okay. Well, I have to answer her. Where we at now?
34.
Okay. 34. So that you shall be mad for the sight of your eyes, which you shall see. And Yahuwah shall smite you in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of your foot unto the top of your head. Yahuwah shall bring you and your king, which you shall set over you, unto a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known. And there shall you serve other idols, wood and stone.
Right. Neither you or your fathers have known, huh? That meaning y'all ain't never seen these people before. And here's a kicker too. He says, and there you should serve gods of wood and stone, which means that whatever God they bring to you, that ain't me. Right? And that's why I be telling people when we deal with the names, Jesus is that God that you see, that statues on the churches. Right. People are, oh, man, no, that's, what's the name of that idol there? I don't know what the name is. It's Jesus. What's the name of that dude on that painting right there? It's Jesus. And how I know that? Because the name Jesus itself ain't but 400 years old. It's not a Hebrew name. This was a Hebrew cat that we reading about in the scriptures. Right. It's not making it up. It's just putting it all together. So when you see, he says right here, serve others, neither your fathers know and have known. They should serve other elves of wood and stone. That's letting you know that whatever they present to you when you go into the land of captivity, that's not me. Right? I mean, are you making that up? You can't make it up. You just got to read it and understand it for what it is.
Right.
Don't just read the words and just let it just fly like a song. Think about the words that we're reading and understand that his word is true.
But you know what I do find sad though too is that I saw somebody made a comment, I don't know where recently, because you know, a lot of people in the Black community are angry, and they're like, you know, with the Black church, you know, well, we're coming out of the church because we don't want to worship a white God, okay? But they're still missing it because they're looking at it from a racist standpoint.
Right.
They're still not going deep enough to find out what this word says.
That's correct.
And so it's steeped in racism and division.
Exactly. That's correct.
Instead of the truth.
That's correct. That is correct. Absolutely.
Like I said, we should not be worshiping any graven images.
Right.
So, you know, we shouldn't be, if we see a statue, we should not be worshiping. We should not be saying this is our, you know, our God. We should not be doing that.
And don't just get mad because, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't take it off. Oh, but you're not on camera. You're talking about.
I want to add, it's what you're saying.
Read it later. Luke 21, and this is him speaking here. Luke 21.
What verse?
Luke 21 and start at verse 23.
Verse 23. Luke 21 and verse 23. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
And this is Yeshua speaking here, and he's prophesying about after him, after he done died and was crucified and was resurrected. 24.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
So I was going to read this later, but this is him prophesying, and this ain't no new prophecy he's giving, because it was already prophesied. He's reiterating to Israel and his day, look, y'all, man, in another place, which I ain't going to read, you remember reading it, how often would I have gathered you together like a chicken, whatever, gather her hens? I'm paraphrasing. But y'all won't listen. So this is what's going to happen to y'all. All y'all here, y'all going to be sent into, carried in the captive into all nations. And Jerusalem today shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, Europeans, until how long? Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So again, and just to, what you were saying, it's not really because they're keeping the commandments. That's the reason why they're prosperous. Not fully. The reason why they're prosperous is because the Father put the world into the hands of the Gentiles.
No, what I was saying is because they follow the holy days, not so much the commandments.
Yeah, but see, you can't use prosperity in that sense, because Gentile, by definition, we're in the time of the Gentiles. They control it, so they got the prosperity. They control it. It's by definition, we're living in the time of the Gentiles. So and when you read this verse, it's letting you know that the true Israelites are going to be captive in all nations. And you can't be both. You can't be captive and then try down Jerusalem at the same time. That's the reason why he's putting a distinction between the two. So that's why when we see some Israelites talking about I'm going to Israel, see, I'm against that. I don't even want to visit the land, because I know that's my land. I'm not going. That's like going into your own home, but somebody else is dictating you what to do in your home. And again, I'm not kicking against anybody that wants to go there, whatever. That's your own. I'm speaking for me.
I have a friend who said the same thing.
Oh,
said,
that person is intelligent, in my opinion.
Because it still gets back to the protection of the Hebrews. The reason why he expanded the tents and made them that large is because, for the most part, they taking the bullet while we're
Who's taking the bullet?
over there in Israel. All right, they are protecting the land until we become awakened.
Yeah, but the fathers see the land as really desolate. If we're not there, he considered it as being desolate, trying down to the Gentiles.
People are walking around with military guns. I mean, children
I've
are
been
to
to
be in the
Israel.
military by the age of 16 in Israel currently.
Right.
I mean, you're forced to. If you're a boy, you have to go into military.
The girls too. The boys and the girls.
Yeah.
See, when
But
the
that's
father,
not protection. Trodden down actually means it's being destroyed.
right, and it is
not
being
being
destroyed. It's being
protected.
destroyed spiritually. It's being destroyed in every shape, form, and fashion because his people are not there. I forgot what I was about to say, but oh yeah, when the Father comes back and brings us collectively back into the land, everything you see is gonna burn with fire, because he's gonna have to clean the land. Ain't nothing over there is holy. See, we go over there and we be like, oh, this is beautiful. This is where Abraham walked, and this and that. That's trodden down over there in his eyes. When he come back, we ain't gonna go over there and be in the houses that, no, he's gonna burn everything there, destroy everything, gonna burn, fire is gonna purge it. He said it's gonna be blood up to the horse's bridle. I think that's from one of the prophets, Ezekiel somewhere. That's everything we said, no matter how beautiful it might look, no matter how delicious those beautiful pomegranate,
I said a falafel. Don't get me started on something. I think that's some good ones.
Okay. Oh, nobody. No. Anyway, no, but all I can tell you is what the scripture lets us know. We are. I'm going to read something else in regard to that concerning how he provoked us to jealousy. But I'm going to read that, and it's all part of the lesson. So just be patient. We still in Deuteronomy. I ain't even made a dent, y'all. We got to get through this. Deuteronomy 28 chapter, but questions, comments, good. That's the only way we learn. Deuteronomy 28 chapter and verse 49.
Okay, hold on. Verse 49. Okay. Yahuwah shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue you shall not understand.
We weren't speaking these European languages. Huh? No. Okay, skip down to 64. It's going to just reiterate what we just said, 64.
A nation, 64 you said? Okay, hold on. 64. Okay. And Yahuwah shall scatter you among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there you shall serve other idols or gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So,
I'm thinking of the totem pole.
Right. Okay. But it's all of these nations have their own deities, but they all, most of them come from the same source, Babylon, Nimrod. Just that every time they went to their own country, they used their own flavor into the same sun god, goddess of fertility, all of them,
with different names.
Right. Just like when you look at the whole dynamic as an example of Christmas, December 25th. You know, we got we put them all in combination, but they were broken down according to what the Nordics did, what the English did, what the Germans did. This person said Yuletide. These other persons, they really dealt with the tree more than other people did. But we got the combination of all of them. But they all observed it the same exact time in the rebirth of the sun, right? And it's most people don't understand the origins of that. Okay, now let's go on to the prophets, Jeremiah 3rd chapter, because again, one way in which I like to destroy false doctrine is not, you can't ignore where people go to get their doctrine. That's how come when somebody tell me something, okay, I asked them, well, where you read that from? Because I deal with where they at. You got to deal with them where they at, because you don't just fight one scripture. What about what this scripture say? Yeah, Jeremiah the 3rd chapter. Jeremiah 3rd chapter. Pick that up at verse 1. Jeremiah 3rd chapter and verse 1.
They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's wife, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But you have played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith Yahuwah.
Right, because we know in the verse that we read, the father divorced Israel. But he's asking a question here. These are all questions here. Mm-hmm. If a man put away his wife, and she go from him and become another man, shall he return her again? Because that's what we did. He married us, but then he put us away. But he's asking a question. Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But you have played the harlot with many lovers. But then he says, contrary to what he says in the law, because he married us and he loved us, he says, return again, says Yah, right? He didn't say, I put you away and that's it. I'm not dealing with you no more ever again. And that's kind of what they come with, where Israel was divorced. So they are now Gentiles. Nowhere in the scripture are they called Gentiles, period. Right. Because Gentiles is not a religion, it is a people. Mm-hmm. Right? And so keep reading that.
Oh, yeah.
Verse 2.
Lift up your eyes unto the high places and see where you have not been leaning with
or lying
with. Mm-hmm. In the ways have
laying with. Uh-huh.
In the ways have you sat for them as the Arabian in the wilderness. Did I say that right? Arabia in the wilderness. And you have polluted the land with your whoredoms and with your wickedness.
Skip down to verse 6.
Verse 6. Yahuwah said also unto me in the days of Josiah the king, have you seen that which backsliding Israel hath done? Which backsliding Israel? That's funny. She has gone up every high mountain under every green tree, and there have played the harlot. And I said, after she had done all these things, turn you unto me. But she returned not. And her treacherous sister Judah saw it, and I saw, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot also. And it came to pass through the likeness of her whoredom that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and with stocks. Mm-hmm. And yet for all this, her treacherous sister Judah hath not Yahudah have not turned unto me with her whole heart, but faintly, saith Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said unto me, the backsliding Yasharael have justified herself more than the treacherous Yahudah. Mm-hmm. Go and proclaim these words toward the north, and say, return, you backsliding Yasharael, saith Yahuwah, and I will not cause your anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, saith Yahuwah, and I will not keep anger forever.
Right, so we focus on the father divorcing Israel, but he's letting us know, look, sometimes we can say, like if a husband might speak to his wife in anger and say, I'm divorcing you. Mm-hmm. But then if I'm, calm down a little bit, like, I'm pleading, like, man, come on. Come on, I done did this, I done did that, come on, repent. Is this not what we're reading? Are we not reading this? Is that what we're reading here? Okay, I'm going to make sure I'm not making stuff up. We ain't just going to be stuck on the fact that he divorced them. Wait a minute, understand the whole dynamic. Don't just read one verse, I divorced her. No, read what he's saying.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Read the whole thing. So in verse 8, he's saying this. He's going to say something really tripped out. He said, and I saw when for all causes whereby backsliding Israel have committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treasure sister Yahudah feared not, but went and played the harlot also. Where did we skip down? Okay, just skip down to verse 12.
Okay, we was at 13.
Okay, read verse. Okay, so read verse 12 again.
Okay, go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return, you backsliding Yasharael, saith Yahuwah, and I will not cause my anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, saith Yahuwah, and I will not keep anger forever. Only acknowledge your iniquity, that you have transgressed against Yahuwah, your Elohim, and have scattered your ways to the strangers under every green tree, and ye have not obeyed my voice, saith Yahuwah. Turn, O
Now
back.
check this out. Okay. Right. Read it. Check this out.
Turn, O backsliding children, saith Yahuwah, for I am married unto you.
Wow. Wait a minute. He didn't say I was married to you. That ain't what I read. He says I am married. So you see how it is like he's speaking out of anger. Like I gave you a bill of divorce. You done. You done. You know? But now he like to look, just repent. That's all you got to do. Just repent. And my mercy will fall on you because I am what? I am married unto you. It sounds like it's double talk, but just understand the words that's being spoken here.
In anger and in love.
Right. There you go. I like that. You're right. Right. He have not forsaken Israel. He put us on time out. He had. Come on, I'm not making it up. He had put us on time out. And then when you keep reading, you're going to read that he put Yahudah on time out too. Matter of fact, that's really what I just read in Luke the 21st chapter. Because we went into captivity to the Syrians, and then Yahudah went into captivity too to Babylon, but he brought us back.
He dealt with us like a white daddy instead of a black daddy.
Oh.
I don't know. My pops was kind of like this right here.
I'm talking about the timeout thing.
Well, very good. Very good. Very good. I like that. Time out. Time out.
It's harsh but gentle.
No, I ain't gonna let you get away with that either. I said time out. I shouldn't have said time out. We got our ass beat. Okay. Bring it back to the black daddy now, okay? Yeah. We got the extension cord. We got we got it all.
The shoe, all that.
Oh man, you're gonna make me read something. I swear. Oh no, because I don't want to turn away from this. But man, I did that. Behold the severity thereof. Oh man, the Father ain't no joke.
Okay,
man.
Somebody put something. Wanda Taylor says Shem is the forefather of Negro and Ham to the dark races. So how could Ham be of the forefather? Well, no one said that he was of the forefather Gentiles. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if she heard that. Yeah. Ham is not. She ain't talking about us saying that. She's saying
them. Okay, sorry, Wanda.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, other people teach that. Yeah, I don't know how they teach that either.
Right. No, Gentiles is definitely who they are, where we read in scriptures. Yeah, and the Father, he did. Ooh man, what he did with us was ugly.
But he did say he was only a little bit mad.
It's just like, you know that video you show back in Africa before when these people came, the Gentiles came to the tribe and the guy who was part of that movie. He started praying. Do not know.
Right. Yes, a movie called The Amazing Grace. It's talking about the slave ship captain that wrote the song Amazing Grace. There's a movie about that. And then there's a scene in there where there's this village and we in the village and we celebrating having a good old time. Yep. And then the elder prophet coming in and rebuke them and say and start prophesying them saying, our time is up. We're about to go since we done left our brothers in the east, we done came here and all that. And as soon as he said that, they came with the guns, they came with them all in captivity.
While he was praying, Father,
forgive
them, for they know not what they do. Right. Father, forgive us, and then they shot him.
Yeah.
While he was praying.
Which was pretty deep because it was like
he was repenting.
Yeah, for us. That's
right.
That's what it was like.
Right.
Yeah.
I think possibly that the symbolism to that was that he knew too much, and they weren't gonna let him go into captivity with these
because he would have woke up everybody.
Right.
Yeah, he would have woke up too.
Right. Because
what movie was that?
It's called The Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
But later on, if you here, I can show you the little video clip of that. And again, that movie was made by these French people because they tend to give us knowledge. We look at the knowledge, but we don't really consider it. Looks too many.
It's like sometimes we think of lies as truth, and then truth is lies, and a lot of times truth is hidden in plain sight, but they make it to whereas we think that is is fiction.
Plain sight.
So they like, oh, this is entertainment. It's not true, but they're actually giving you a little bit of truth here and there. So sometimes I look at things as educational to see is there some truth to some of the things, because people can't come up with all this stuff on their own.
Right, that's right, correct.
They're coming out with a lot of history and they're putting it in movies. And sometimes people, they do that almost to laugh in your face.
That's true. That's true. Like they did with Good Times. They really laughed in our face with Good Times. TV show. Because he said a lot of truth on that one particular episode.
A lot of episodes.
Huh? Yeah. But when you look at that whole episode, that whole 30 minutes was all fire. Because JJ said, man, there were the people that were lost. We But it was a lot of stuff. If you look at that whole episode, it really breaks it down. Even the episode before that. Because the episode before that, it ended with Florida looking up at the Jesus and was thanking him for being able to get the rent paid. And then it goes into the black Jesus she rejected it. That whole episode was deep though. Anyway, let's go on to 2 Kings, the 17th chapter. 2 Kings 17th chapter deals with the 10-tribe nation of Israel. And when Israel went into captivity, and I just want to touch on this for a second because part of this goes into the New Testament, understanding something we're going to read in the New Testament. This is probably one of the last places we're going to read in the old, quote-unquote, Old Testament. 2 Kings 17th chapter. 2 Kings the 17th chapter. I'm going to skip all the way down. We got to put the people in place here. Start with the first verse here.
Okay. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Yahudah, began Hoshea the son of Eli to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahuwah, but not as the kings of Yasharael that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hoshea became his servant and gave him precedence.
Right, so here it is. Samaria is the capital city of Israel. The 10-tribe, northern kingdom, right? And Jerusalem is the capital of Yahudah, the southern kingdom. So anytime you see Samaria, it's really, or sometimes it'll say Ephraim. Ephraim was like the head of the 10 tribes. But Samaria is the capital city, okay? So that's where the king reigned over Israel. Okay, go ahead.
And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So king of Egypt and brought no presents to the king of Assyria as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away, or Yasharael away, into Assyria and placed them in Hala and in harbor by the river of Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. For so it was that the children of Yasharael had sinned against Yahuwah their Elohim, which had brought them up out of the land of Misraim from under the hand of Paharo, king of Misraim, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom Yahuwah cast out from before the children of Yasharael and the kings of Yasharael, which they had made.
And notice the word heathen is not a proper noun. It's an improper noun, right? We can't replace heathen with Gentiles.
Right.
It's not the same exact thing. But go ahead.
And the children of Yasharael did secretly those things that were not right against Yahuwah their Elohim, and they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city, And they set them up images and groves in every high hill and under every green tree. And there they burnt incense in all the high places, and did the heathen whom Yahuwah carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke Yahuwah to anger. For they serve idols, whereof Yahuwah has said unto them, you shall not do this thing. Yet Yahuwah testified against Yasharael and against Yahudah by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, turn ye from your evil ways, and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servants the prophets. Notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their necks like the neck of their fathers that did not believe in Yahuwah their Elohim. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies which he testified against them. And they followed vanity and became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom Yahuwah had charged them that they should not do like them. And they left all the commandments of Yahuwah their Elohim, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshiped all the host of heaven, and served Baal. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahuwah, to provoke him to anger. Therefore Yahuwah was very angry with Yasharael, and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Yahudah only. Also Yahudah kept not the commandments of Yahuwah their Elohim, but walked in the statutes of Yasharael, which they made. And Yahuwah rejected all the seed of Yasharael, and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight. For he rent Yasharael from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drove Yasharael from following Yahuwah, and made them sin a great sin.
Right, because of what Solomon did, right? Solomon committed wickedness, and then he had a son, Rehoboam, and Rehoboam was wicked too. So the father said, I'm going to take the kingdom from you, give you 2 tribes, and he raised up this Jeroboam, and he gave him the 10 tribes. But so that formed the nation of Israel and the nation of Yahudah. Israel didn't have not one righteous king the entire time they was a kingdom. Not one, because Ahab, he was a king, his wife Jezebel. They didn't have not one righteous king. After Solomon became wicked, that was it. Jeroboam, and Jeroboam was stupid.
Because he gave him.
Right. Jeroboam minded his own business, and then the prophet Ahiah came to him and rent his garments in 12 pieces. You get 10 pieces, and I'm going to leave the 2 pieces with Rehoboam, Solomon, basically. And he messed up because now you done got the kingdom. All you got to do is keep the commandments. But because he got in his own mind, like, man, I know that the law says we got to go to Jerusalem, and when all the people go to Jerusalem, they going to leave from here, and I ain't going to have no kingdom.
Right.
That's where Rehoboam is,
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put an idol here in Dan and an idol here in Beersheba, and they're going to stay here and worship. They don't have to go there. That was it. It was over with. And every king of Israel followed after that pattern. Ain't that something? It's like crazy. The Father give you a blessing, and he tells you how to handle the blessing, but in your mind, you think, well, that ain't really how I got to do it. I'm going to do it this way. And you ain't going to have that blessing long. Huh? And so notice how when he's talking about the captivity of Israel, he tells you the whole story. He didn't tell you the whole story, but he brought it all the way down from the beginning about how Jeroboam before he took Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king, and Jeroboam drove Yashrael Israel from following Yahuwah and made them sin a great sin. 22.
For the children of Yasharael walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them.
They did not depart. All of them were wicked.
Until Yahuwah removed Yasharael out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets, so was Yasharael carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Kuhath, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Yasharal. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not Yahuwah. Therefore Yahuwah sent lions among them, which slew some of them. Wherefore they spoke to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which you have removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of the Elohim of the land. Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the Elohim of the land. Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry there one of the priests whom you brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there, and let him teach them the manner of the Elohim of the land.
This heathen king, told them, look, this is what we're gonna do. He didn't give them knowledge according to the Syrians to combat the lions, because that would have been a normal thing. Like, oh, we got wisdom, we know how to do it. No, he said, let's go get with the Levites and teach them. He ain't no Levite, he ain't following the commandments, but he was smart. But he knew. He said, look, we're gonna get some of them Levites back. Y'all come on back. Because these people here are getting eaten up because they don't know what to do. But go ahead.
And then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear Yahuwah. Howbeit every nation made idols of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt. And the men of Babylon made Succoth Benoth, the name of Cuth. And the men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima, and the Avites made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sephardites burnt their children in the fire to Adremelech and Anamelech, and the gods of Pharpar.
Okay, that's cool. Okay. So the main reason why I went here, because a lot of people may not be familiar that Samaria are not Israelites, because the Israelites were sent off. These were people that were brought in through the Syria, because when the 10 tribes went in captivity, that was it, collectively. Right, we never controlled the land ever again from that day. The king of Syria is running things, and he put the people there, and they rule. Because we know even from church, when we read about the story of the Good Samaritan, we don't even know the history behind that, right? But the Yahudi, us that was there in Judah, we didn't have no dealings with the Samaritans. Not because they were Israelites or the 10 tribes called Gentiles, which is the doctrine that they teach, but it's because they were of another people, and they were taught our ways. And when you're taught our ways, sometimes you take hold of the tradition and you start calling yourself Jews or whatever. That's what happens through conversion, right? And so that's what we read. So that, and as I said, so I referred to that story of the Good Samaritan, because we didn't deal with the Samaritans because of that. I'm going to read something historically. This is the complete books of the work of Josephus. He was a historian. You all heard of him, Josephus? This is what he said here. He says in the chapter 14 of Antiquities of the Yahudi, of the Jews, he says, but now the Kuthians who were moved, and this is weird in my ignorance, for some reason I read, because we read Kuthia just here.
Right.
Looking at
And you know what? And for some reason, I think in the back of my mind, I was thinking they're related to Cush or something. But he's going to tell you who they relate, because I never looked it up. And I looked at it, says, but now the Kuthians who were moved into Samaria, for that is the name that had been called by to this time, because they were brought out of the country called Kutha, which is the country of Persia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Gentiles, that's European, Persia. And there's a river of the same name in it. Each of them, according to their nations, which were in number 5, brought their own gods into Samaria, and by worshiping them as was the custom of their own countries, they provoked Almighty Elohim to be angry and displeased at them, for a plague seized upon them by which they were destroyed. And when they found no cure for their miseries, they learned by the oracle that they ought to worship Almighty Elohim as a method for their deliverance. So they sent ambassadors to the king of Assyria, which we just read, right? And desired him to send them some of the priests of the Israelites whom he had taken captive. And when he thereupon sent them, and the people were by them taught the laws and the holy worship of Elohim, they worship him in a respectful manner, and the plague ceased immediately. And indeed, they continue to make use of the very same customs to this very time, and are called in the Hebrew tongue Kuthians, but in the Greek Samaritans. And when they see the Yahudian prosperity, they pretend that they are changed and allied to them, align, right, and call them kinsmen, as though they were derived from Yosef, and had by that means an original alliance with them. But when they see them falling into a low condition, they say they are no way related to them, and that the Jews have no right to expect any kindness or marks of kindred from them, but they declare that they are sojourners that come from other countries.
Wow.
But of these we shall have a more seasonable opportunity to discourse hereafter. That's what he says here. But that's his history of the people. So when we read about the Good Samaritan, and Yahshua was saying, you judge people according to the heart, he know what the history is, because at that time, this time in the New Testament, we were not permitted to deal with the Samaritans, right? And then here's another example here, St. John the 4th chapter. John the 4th, that's why people don't really understand what was happening here. No, before I read John the 4th chapter, let me read the foundation here. Matthew the 10th chapter, and then we're going to go there. Matthew 10th chapter. Mm-hmm. We're not going to read this whole thing. Yahshua is commissioning the 12 apostles to go out and teach the gospel, okay? Someone skip down to this one verse 5.
Okay. All right. These 12 Yahshua sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter you not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Yashraelites.
So stop. This is what he commanded them. Don't go into any of the cities of Samaritans. See, if we didn't read what I just read here, and so you wouldn't understand why he's telling them not to go to the Samaritans. I don't want you to go to the Samaritans. Don't go into any way of the Gentiles. Gentiles here are the Europeans. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So how can Israel be Gentiles if he's telling them not to go, but go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel?
That makes no sense whatsoever.
It makes no sense whatsoever. He's specifying 3 different type of people here. Samaria, because other people live there that ain't you. Mm-hmm. And don't go to the Gentile, because it's not time. I'm dealing with Israel. And after I done set y'all up, when y'all get that Holy Spirit, y'all gonna be able to go into right. Yeah, it's not even difficult.
Right.
It's not difficult. It was the order. I have to deal with. I come to Israel, and matter of fact, I'm gonna go. Right, exactly. And because we were lost.
Lost too, yeah.
It ain't even difficult. It's so simple. So he do that. So now let's go into John the 10th chapter and just get a little understanding of this conversation here. John the 10th chapter. Mm-hmm.
John 4.
4. I think I'm sorry. My bad. 4. Yes, 4. Absolutely. Thank you for that. John the 4th chapter. Start at verse 1 real quick.
Okay.
I just got a few more places. I want to get to it.
When therefore Yahuwah knew how the Pharisees had heard that Yahshua made and baptized more disciples than Yakanah, though Yahshua himself baptized not, but his disciples, he left Yahudea and departed again into Galilee, and he must needs go through Samaria. Then come he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Yosef. Now Jacob's well was there. Yahshua, therefore, being worried with his journey, sat there on the well, and as it was about the 6th hour, there came a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahshua said unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that you, being a Yahudi, ask drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Yahudi have no dealings with the Samaritans.
And again, we understand why now. You see what I'm saying? And the thing is, and watch what's going to happen. This is real tripped out here. Go ahead.
Yeshua answered and said unto her, if you knew the gift of Elohim, and who it is that saith to you, give me to drink, you would have asked of him, and he would have given you living water. The woman said unto him, Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then have you that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle?
She was speaking according to her conversion, because Jacob wasn't her father.
Sure wasn't.
And Yahshua,
her ancestors testified to her
right
there.
And Yahshua could have corrected her, but Yahshua's focus is on this living water that he's trying to teach her about. Right, go ahead.
And Yeshua answered and said unto her, whosoever drinks of this water shall thirst again, but whosoever drinks of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come here to draw. Yeshua said unto her, Go, call your husband and come here. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yeshua said unto her, You have well said, I have no husband, for you have had 5 husbands, and he whom you now have is not your husband. And that said you truly. The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Our fathers worship in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship.
And see, that's what people do. They preconceive you based off of your affiliation, but they don't really know who you are. He ain't say no such thing, but because he is a Yahuda, she gonna quote to him. You know, that's like somebody come to me and say, "Man, you think white people is the devil? You think white people is this?"
I ain't never said no
I ain't
such
never
thing.
said no such thing, but you associate me with somebody else. But yeah, that's what she did to him. You say that Jerusalem is the place to worship. Go ahead.
Yeshua said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour comes when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Yahudi.
Absolutely. So he had to kind of check at that point, because she keep talking kind of crazy.
Out of context.
Right, out of context, you know. So anyway, again, and understand that, because that brother said last week, he said she was an Israelite. You know, I'm like, you don't know the history. She's not an Israelite. Right. And if she was an Israelite, it wouldn't have been no problem, because he said, go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. There was no discrepancy between us and Israel. The Father divorced them, put them away, but we're going to see that there were still people of other 10 tribes that was even here in Yahud at the time. I'm going to give one example in Luke's 2nd chapter. Here's one example here. In Luke's 2nd chapter.
Which verse?
Luke's 2nd chapter and the 35th verse.
Okay. Yes, a sword shall pierce through your own soul also, that the thoughts
I'm sorry, 36, I'm sorry.
Okay. And there was one Anan, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel, of the tribe of Aser. She was of a great age, and had lived with a husband 7 years from her virginity. And she was a widow of about 84 years, which departed not from the temple, but served Elohim with fasting and prayers night and day.
Now, what tribe was she from?
Asher.
Asher, right, tribe of
Asher.
Asher. Right.
Yeah.
And we know Asher was not part of Yahuda, right? Yahuda consisted of who?
Benjamin and Yahuda.
Right. And some of Levi.
And some of Levi,
right.
yeah.
So Asher was part of the 10 tribes.
Right.
But according to this, there were some 10 tribe people there, right? So according to these ignorant people, okay, this is a Gentile right here that we're reading about. So, right, because she part of the 10 tribes. See what I'm saying? It's retarded. She was an Israelite. Not only was she an Israelite, she served in the temple.
Yep.
A tribe of Asher
Considered
served in the
a
temple.
prophetess too.
Huh? And she was a prophetess, absolutely. Matter of fact.
I wonder what the argument is with that.
Man, you know what? I'm sorry this is taking so long, but I ain't even got to the good part yet. I kid you not.
Such contradiction to what they're saying.
Look, we have not even got to the good part yet. We just went through rudimentary backdrop. So what time is it? I'm sorry.
4:34.
It's 4:34. Okay. I know.
Good feeling.
Well, hey, hallelujah.
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 Yeah.
I'm an exciting teacher. You hear that? Okay, let's get to the good part here, okay? Let's go on and Acts the first chapter.
We're not gonna finish this up?
No, I just wanted to identify this woman of the tribe of Asher that was there. She was an Israelite. She wasn't of Yahudah, but she lived in the region, which means that there were Israelites there in Yahudah of the 10 tribes.
And not of
And they were not called Gentiles.
Nope.
Is the point. You see, that's what I'm saying. When we really think and put it all into proper context, it kills false doctrines. Okay, Acts the 2nd chapter.
Okay, Acts the 2nd chapter. What verse?
Verse 5, right to the point.
Verse 5. Okay. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Yahudi, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. And now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language.
Real quickly, the word Jews or Jew does not have one definition. It has at least 3 different definitions, and we got to understand how it's used when we read that word Jew. The word Jew originated from Yahudah.
The tribe.
Right? It originated from Yahudah. But then, when it separated into 2 nations, Israel and Yahudah, now the residents of Yahudah collectively were called Jews. When we begin to deal with other nations, and that's why I read that, they didn't know what to do with it. Esther, the 7th chapter.
Right.
When we read about the story of Esther, 7th chapter, after Mordecai and them got the victory, it says, and we can read this later, it says, and many of the region became Jews in that day from the nations round about. They were not ethnically Israel. They became Jews because they followed the religion and traditions of Esther and Mordecai.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's 3 different definitions. So when we read this word, they're dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews or Yahudi. What you think that Jews is right there?
Probably a nationality.
Ethnicity. It's religion.
Oh yeah, because they're from every nation.
Right. And they
So
came
that
to
is-
Jerusalem to keep the Feast of Pentecost.
Right.
When it says Jews here, it's talking about that was the walk that these people had. And the qualified read it.
Okay, and there were dwelling at Jerusalem Yahudi, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? How hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born? Parthians and Medes and Elamites and dwellers in the Mesopotamia and in Yahudea and Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia and Phrygia and Pamphylia and Mizraim and in parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Yahudi and proselytes, Cretians, Arabians. We do hear them speak in our own tongues the wonderful works of Elohim.
So there were people that were converts here. There were definitely people of the 12 tribes, because the 12 tribes lived in these places where we had been scattered.
That's right.
But they were able to come back to Jerusalem to keep the feast.
Right.
These were not Gentiles here.
Right.
But there may have been some Hamites among the conversion. There may have been, and the reason why I know, because later on when we read about Cornelius, the Gentile, that was a great big thing there,
Right.
with him coming. So they wasn't there prior to him.
Right.
I mean, see, you put 2 and 2 together and you understand the history, you can put it all together. So these Israelites that were coming they were from Asher, Zebulun.
Everybody, yeah.
You know, they were there. They were not Gentiles. They were not Gentiles either. How are they going to be called Gentiles?
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
Okay? So again, when you read it from historical, again, the word Gentile by definition is a people. It's not a belief. It's not a religion. It is a people. Every time you read the word Gentile, you know it's talking about a people. Okay? So this is what Acts 2nd chapter testify concerning. And again, so we read Matthew 10, I read. Okay, so then this is that point where I'm going to read the Luke 21, which we already read. 9, we're going to get to the nail in the coffin right here. Romans the 10th chapter. Romans the 10th chapter. Because again, these Romans that Paul wrote to, they were Israelites. They were not Europeans. They were Israelites that were living as Gentiles. So they were Gentiles, okay? Well, let's see. Romans the 10th chapter. And I'm going to go straight to the point. Start at the first verse. We're going to skip down.
10th chapter, first verse? Okay. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim of Yashrael is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of Elohim, but not according to knowledge. For they, being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Elohim.
Right. Okay. So skip. I just want to establish that, but skip down to verse 17. But, huh? You want me to read verse 12? Okay. Okay. That's cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Verse 11.
I'll read 11. Okay. For the scriptures say, whosoever believe on him shall not be ashamed. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. For the same Elohim over all is rich unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call upon the name of Yahuwah shall be saved.
Great point. That's a great point. There is no difference when it comes down to salvation. There ain't no difference between the Yahudi, or the Greek. Right. It ain't no different. For the same master of all is rich unto all that call upon him. Okay. He didn't say ain't no difference between the Jewish and the Israelite, or the Yahuda and the Israelite. It's just crazy. It's the whole dynamic is crazy. But again, and a very good point. But again, they try to twist this. You can't twist this right here. Verse 17.
Okay, going down. So then faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, truly. Their sound went into all the earth, and their words unto the ends of the world. But I say, did not Yashrael know?
Okay, he said, did not Yashrael Israel know? And he's talking about Israel collectively, all 12 tribes here. And we're going to see how we know that. Go ahead.
First, Moshe said, I will provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people, and by a foolish nation I will anger you.
Right. He's telling these Romans, y'all are the ones that Moses is talking about, that I'm going to provoke you to jealousy by a foolish nation. They teach you that he's telling Yahuda that them Gentiles, them 10 tribes, is the ones that will provoke them to jealousy.
Can't, because they ain't following them.
Huh?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it don't even make sense. Because when he said, Moses said that, I was going to read that, that's in Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, he's talking to all 12 tribes, Israel. How you going to be provoked by a foolish nation, and you the foolish nation that he's going to be provoked by?
Right, exactly.
That's so convoluted.
It don't even make sense.
It don't even and people sitting there, whoa, it don't make sense. But he's talking to the Romans. He's telling the Romans that you are that foolish nation that I'm going to provoke them to. Go ahead.
But Isaiah, is that Isaiah?
Isaiah, right.
Isaiah is very bold and saith, I was found of them that sought me not. I was made manifest unto them that asked not after me. But Yashrael, he said, all day long.
Very good point. He's quoting Isaiah. I was found of them that sought me not you, Israel.
Right.
I'm not talking about, I'm talking to you.
Right.
I'm not talking about you. It was other people that sought me.
Mm-hmm.
I was found of them that sought me not. I was made manifest unto them that asked not after me, but to Israel, he said. Go ahead.
All day long have I stretched forth my hands unto a disobedient and gainsaying people.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the next one.
How do you know? Go ahead.
I say
Romans 11:1.
I say then, have Elohim cast away his people? Elohim forbid. For I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
Okay, wait a minute. When he says how Elohim cast away his people, he asked him that. Have you had? Yeah, physically he did cast us away. Physically, sent us into other nations, whatever. But his covenant never left us as a people. Huh? Correct. Go ahead.
Yeah. And we still bear the covenant. We just bear the curse of the covenant, not the good of the covenant.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Very good point. Wow. Go ahead.
Elohim forbid, for I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Elohim hath not cast away his people which he foreknew.
He's telling you, he have not, and he ain't just talking about Yahudah, he's talking about the whole 12 tribes of Israel. That's why he started off saying, well, I am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Elohim have not cast away his people which he foreknew. Go ahead.
Okay.
What you not?
Know ye not
Right.
what the scriptures say of Elijah? How he make, is that Elijah? How he maketh intercession to Elohim against Yasharael, saying, Yahuwah, they have killed your prophets and digged down your altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of Elohim unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so, then, at this present time also there is a remnant according to the election of grace.
Absolutely.
Hallelujah.
Until this time.
Oh, hallelujah.
I had Israelites talking about, man, we were the first Israelites out here. We the first Israelites. Father always said a remnant according to when we was in slavery. In a book, I got a book called Bullwhip Days, which quotes the slaves. It was, they had people go out and record interviews with slavery. And then this one, he said, man, our preacher exhorted to us that we were the children of Israel in slavery. Just like Nat Turner, he knew that we were Israelites. John Brown taught that we were Israelites, and he was a Gentile.
Killed for us.
The greatest American ever walked the face of this earth, John Brown.
I think they should have a John Brown Day. I say that all the time.
Man, see, people don't know about John Brown. He was a Gentile. Y'all heard of John Brown before? He was an abolitionist, and he would kill you just by saying the word slavery. He was bad. He was the man that single-handedly started the Civil War. There's a movie called Santa Fe Trails, and you can watch it on YouTube. Santa Fe Trails, starring Ronald Reagan, Errol Flynn, and it's about their lieutenants that was in the West Point Army back then, right when America was growing and expanding, and Missouri and Kansas were not yet in the Union, but they were trying to figure out whether they're going to be a slave state or a free state.
Right.
And John Brown was like, you ain't bringing that slavery here to Kansas. I mean, this dude was, and they don't teach us about this cat.
He said, God said, let my people go so that they may serve me.
I'm going to show you a clip. I'm going to show you a clip of John Brown. There was a movie called The Skin Gang. Came out in the late 70s. It was
Gossett Jr.
Lou Gossett Jr. Before he played Kunta Kinte, he's in this movie. He plays a free man, and James Garner, Rockford Files. So they're partners. And what they would do is that they would sell him in slavery, that he would free him. And they keep doing it over and over.
Stealing money.
This movie is I showed you the clips to that. The movie, and I got the whole DVD at home, but the movie is a great movie. But there's a scene in this movie where John Brown, I'm just going to say he comes on the scene. And I'm going to show y'all the clip after class, but when he comes on the thing, the first thing he says, "Hear ye, O Israel." White dude with
got a whip.
Yeah, got a whip, and he takes the auctioneer and snatches him off there. And the point, and just like you say, that scene has nothing to do with the movie. They didn't have to put the scene in the movie at all. The movie is kind of a comedy, but this was a real live scene with a real live person that they put in the movie. Like right in front of our face. Right in front of our face. It was
mocking us.
Right, yeah, but John Brown, but the movie Santa Fe Trails is back in the black and white with Ronald Reagan now. They tell you at the end of the movie that this dude here kicked off the Civil War.
But you can also watch, if you go to, what's that, PBS? They have a, documentary about him meeting Frederick Douglass.
Oh, yeah.
And he tells, Frederick Douglass, he says, Frederick's like, well, we're trying to convert the, the Europeans or, the slave masters into, seeing us as good people. And he was like, bro, without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sins. They are not going to see their sins. This country will not be
redeemed without the shedding of. This cat was deep.
He was.
That's the same movie.
No, this is a documentary I'm talking about. It's a documentary
PBS,
with Frederick Douglass, and it's a PBS documentary.
Did y'all ever see that show called Underground? Did y'all ever see the show called Underground? You heard of Underground? You heard of the show called Underground? Oh man, that was a show that came on WGN. They canceled it after 2 seasons. Yeah, if you got any apps or something that's able to watch that, it's called Underground. Really definitely watch that. It had 2 seasons.
They ended it right when they were supposed to do Harper Ferris, John Brown.
Oh man,
they ended the series.
Man, and there's this one episode where Harriet Tubman does this speech before the people, and she keep referring to John Brown in the whole speech. She calls him the general.
They call him the general
because he called her the captain, but no, he's the captain. She calls him the captain.
She's the general.
And she's the general, and she keeps referring to that whole period of time was just crazy. They don't teach us everything that really happened.
Even Frederick Douglass will admit, and if you watch the PBS, he'll even admit that John Brown was willing to go further than what he was even willing to go. Because John Brown was ready to lose his life for what he believed.
And he actually did lose his life.
And his sons.
Yep. Yeah. But anyway. Right. So anyway, we're here in Romans 11 chapter. We tend to do this. I apologize for that. Romans 11 chapter. Where did we leave off?
Well, even so. Finish it.
Okay, skip down to verse 7. Yeah.
Even so, then at this present time also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. And if by grace, then it is no more of works. Okay. Otherwise, grace is no more grace. But if it be of works.
Okay, skip down to verse 7.
Verse 7. Yeah. What then? Yashrael hath not obtained that which he seeks for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. According as it is written, Elohim hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, unto this day. And
unto this day. See, when you saying earlier about how did we not see this? He hid this truth from us in our slumber. He gave us
unto this day.
Go ahead.
And Dawid said, let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. Let their eyes be darkened that they may not see, and bow down their back always. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Elohim forbid, but rather through their fall salvation is come unto the Gentiles.
Europeans, see, not the 10 tribes.
Right.
He's talking about the 10 tribes.
Right, because they can't fall. And
it's crazy.
And be the ones that inherit the salvation.
That's retarded. Go ahead.
For to provoke them to jealousy. Right.
So again, if I go and look in Israel and see these people running everything and got this stuff or that, I don't want to be provoked to that type of jealousy. Right. So that's why I ain't going over there, because I end up in jail.
Yep.
Honestly. Y'all got it for not enjoy.
And now he says further in 12. Now if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them be the riches of the Gentiles.
The riches of the Gentiles? Ooh. You mean tell me the 10 tribes went into captivity and they became rich? And that's why we call them Gentiles now? That don't even make common sense. He's letting you know that we are not the rich ones. All 12 tribes of us.
Yep.
There's not a nation on this earth that we run that follow the laws and statutes of the Most High.
Not one.
We are a people within every nation on the face of this earth.
That's right.
Are we not? Okay, go ahead.
Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness? For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify my office.
So we clear that Paul was an apostle to the Europeans, the Gentiles. Clear on that. Not an apostle to the 10 tribes that was scattered, that called themselves Gentiles. Now, that's crazy. Go ahead.
For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify my office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be? But life from the dead.
Hallelujah. Know that and understand that. Man, go ahead.
For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and you, being wild olive tree, were grafted in among them.
Okay, stop. Stop. How it's simple as that. Some of the branches be broken off. The 10 tribes.
Yep.
You the branches, you broke it off.
Yep.
And you, Romans, Gentiles, you see the separation?
Yep.
That the one that broken off ain't the Gentiles.
Right, exactly.
You being go ahead.
And if some of the branches be broken off, and you, being wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partaketh of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches. But if you boast, you bear not the root, but the root you. You will say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off.
Right.
And you stand by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if Elohim spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not you. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Elohim on them which fell, severity, but toward thee goodness, if you continue in his goodness. Otherwise, you also shall be cut off.
I know what y'all thinking, man. He could have just read this from the beginning, and we'd have been out of here.
Yep.
We'd have been at the crib.
I'm hungry.
And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. For Elohim is able to graft them in again. For if you were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, you were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree. How much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree?
Wow.
For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceit, that blindness in part is happened to Yasharael, until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. And so all Yasharael shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away unrighteousness from Yaakov.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Two more quick places. That again go directly to the point. James.
I love James too.
First chapter. James first chapter. Wow. James first chapter. And first verse. Just change 1 and 1.
Okay. James, a servant of Elohim and of Yahshua the Messiah, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
Absolutely. James was not an apostle to the Gentiles. He wasn't an apostle to the Romans, the Corinthians. He was an apostle to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. He was an apostle to Israel, right? Okay, and then skip over to Peter. First Peter, first chapter, first verse.
First Peter. First chapter.
First verse.
Okay. Peter, an apostle of Yahshua the Messiah, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, Bithynia, elect according to the foreknowledge of Elohim the Father.
Okay, stop. Now these strangers are Israelites as well, because they were strangers in the lands of these lands. When you're in another land, you are a stranger.
Yeah.
You're not the people that you're reading. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, now check this out. We're going to close with
And
this
it says elect according to the foreknowledge of the Elohim.
There you go. Hallelujah. Thanks for pointing that out. Ephesians. This last one. I'm going to close with this one. Ephesians. I don't believe I wrote Ephesians. I didn't write the particular place. Hold on, let me find it. Okay. I therefore be therefore. I don't want to. Well, yo, pull up Bible Gateway real quick. I need to find this. I didn't write the exact verse down. Huh?
Yeah, can you?
Or 6.
Where you at?
Chapter 3.
You say 3? That's not it. I think that's close though.
I'm trying to go to Bible Gateway.
Okay, I got it. I'm sorry. I got it. No, I got it. That's a good place.
Okay, what?
The second chapter.
Second chapter. What? First verse?
Yeah, first verse. Oh yeah.
And you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sin, wherein time past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now works in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in time past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. But Elohim, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sin, has quickened us together with Yeshua.
Okay, let's skip down real quick. Verse 10.
Okay, verse 10. For we are his workmanship, created in Yeshua the Messiah unto good works, which Elohim hath before ordained that we should walk in them. Wherefore remember that you being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called
There it is right there.
Yep, Gentiles in the flesh.
That's who these Ephesians are. They're not Israelites who lived in Ephesus, who had a congregation. They were Europeans. Gentiles, not in the spiritual Gentiles, that walk like they were Gentiles in the flesh.
And that's current day Turkey.
Huh? Right. Okay. Right.
And I'm just saying that because my daughter's husband's from Turkey.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Ephesians current day Turkey?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we did, yeah, I think
Yeah.
we might have read
And
it.
pretty much all the churches have been turned into mosques.
Wow. Okay.
See, that's interesting too, because we look at Western Europe so much, like German or England, that we forget that even these people that kind of are swarthy, they're Gentiles, like Turkey.
Oh, like the Kardashians.
Syria, I was about to say Armenians. We forget that they're Gentiles too. They got a little tad to them or whatever.
Yeah.
But absolutely, they're Gentiles. That's who the Ephesians are. Turkey, absolutely. But yeah, but that was the coup de grace right here. He's trying to say y'all are Gentiles in the flesh, meaning that's what you all are. You were not Israelites. You were who we preach to, and you know, just like I always say, the truth of the matter is, for so many reasons we can't be racist, but if it weren't for what the Father did as far as bringing these Gentiles into this world, we would not know who we are today.
Well, they call it the children of disobedience, but you actually read that too. We actually read that in the beginning of Ephesians, where it says, you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sin, where in time past you walked according to the course of this world,
right,
according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now works in the children of disobedience. Boom. He called out who children. And then when you went down to 10,
right,
he said, wherefore remember that being time past Gentiles in the flesh, they can't be working in with the spirit of the air of this world and be Gentiles. They can't be disobedient children and Gentiles right here at the same time.
Okay.
Because he called them both.
Right.
He separated them both in that chapter.
Okay, right.
When he said children of disobedient were us walking after the spirit of the world.
Right.
And they were Gentiles in the flesh.
So
you can't separate two.
I want to quicken this, because if we'd have read that 3rd chapter, it really, really brings it home in terms of, you know, the Gentiles being fellow partakers with Israel in his kingdom. And I mean, it's you see, that's the thing. You would have to be taught that doctrine that, well, Gentiles and Europeans, they're Israel that was wicked, or there was the 10 tribes. You would have to be taught that, and when it's taught, it would have to be twisted, whatever, but common sense, like you said, line upon line, precept upon precept. If you know that you're reading history, you're not going to listen to ideology. That just don't make sense. It has to line up throughout the whole book. Anyway, may y'all add a blessing for the reading of this word in Yeshua's name. Man, I'm glad y'all persisted. Usually we don't be this long, usually.
We started late.
Yeah,
We did start late.
Those of you who are online, I hope you all got something out this lesson. Bless Shabbat.